a powerful U.S. armada, led by the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln, has reached the Persian Gulf. It's not a routine movement. It's happening amid imminent Iranian threats, protests inside Iran, and rising fear of a broader conflict. This isn't just a show of force. It's one of the largest shifts in U.S. military posture in years. Why now? What's really going on? And how close are we to another major confrontation in the Middle East? Let's break it down. The Abraham Lincoln CVN-72 was pulled from the South China Sea. It sprinted through the Strait of Malacca under dark ship conditions, no lights, no transponders, bypassed a port call in Singapore, and surged straight across the Indian Ocean. And now it has entered the Gulf of Oman. That is the Goldilocks zone, close enough to launch strikes, but just outside the claustrophobic range of Iran's coastal anti-ship batteries in the Persian Gulf. This isn't just one carrier, it's a global strike force. At the center of this entire formation is the USS Abraham Lincoln. On board is Carrier Air Wing 9, and this wing is special for one key reason. It is heavily equipped with the F-35C Lightning II, America's most advanced stealth fighter. These jets are designed to see first, strike first, and remain invisible while doing it. Surrounding the carrier are its bodyguards, 3 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. These ships are far more than simple escorts. Each one is a floating missile silo, packed with Tomahawk cruise missiles, capable of hitting targets hundreds of kilometers inland, along with advanced air defense systems to shield the carrier from missiles, aircraft, and drones. And then there's the shadow you don't see. Beneath the surface, a Virginia-class attack submarine is almost certainly moving with the group, very likely the USS Colorado. Its mission is silent and deadly: track and neutralize Iranian diesel submarines before they can even leave their harbors. In modern naval warfare, this unseen layer of protection is often the most dangerous of all. The U.S. deployment near Iran is not symbolic. It is driven by fresh intelligence. Recent reports indicate renewed activity at a highly secretive Iranian military site that was previously linked to nuclear detonation trigger research, one of the final steps toward a usable nuclear weapon. At the same time, the ceasefire established in June 2025 has effectively collapsed. U.S. assessments suggest Iran used the past 6 months to rebuild and reorganize much faster than expected, restoring key capabilities while avoiding global attention. Because of this, the White House is not waiting for a nuclear test. Waiting would mean acting too late. Instead, the U.S. is moving into a snapback posture, rapidly deploying military power to deter Iran and preserve the option to strike if Iran crosses a critical threshold. The timing and scale of the U.S. deployment are also driven by 3 overlapping factors. First, winter provides ideal operating conditions in the Persian Gulf, avoiding extreme heat that strains equipment and personnel. Second, Washington believes Iran misjudged U.S. capacity by assuming America was too distracted by Venezuela and Ukraine to respond forcefully, and this armada is meant to disprove that assumption. Third, the move reflects a harder strategic shift under the current administration, aiming to confront and weaken the axis of resistance early before domestic political constraints limit options. Is the U.S. really going to attack Iran? Right now, an outright U.S. strike on Iran isn't definitive. The Carrier Strike Group is positioned to be ready for action, but readiness is different from execution. U.S. leaders emphasize deterrence, not immediate war. They openly hope force won't be needed. Iran, meanwhile, says any attack, even a limited one, would be treated as all-out war. A possible U.S. strike on Iran would not look like a full-scale invasion. Instead, it would resemble a punitive air campaign designed to cripple key capabilities rather than conquer territory. The focus would be on precision strikes against strategic military targets, including leadership elements of the IRGC, missile production facilities, hardened nuclear-related sites, radars and air defenses rather than mass ground forces. Based on current indications, this would be a limited campaign focused on pressure and degradation, not a prolonged ground invasion or total war. Iran's response would likely be asymmetric rather than a direct naval fight. Instead of engaging U.S. forces head-on, Tehran would target the global economy and regional stability. This could include disrupting the Strait of Hormuz through mining or harassment, putting nearly 20% of the world's oil supply at risk. Iran could also launch missile attacks on U.S. bases across the region from its ballistic and cruise missile inventory. Proxy groups aligned with Iran could immediately strike U.S. troops and installations in Iraq, Syria, Jordan, and beyond, while cyber operations or covert attacks would expand the fight into new domains. An Iranian response might also include direct strikes against Israel, using ballistic missiles or drones to pressure Jerusalem and complicate the conflict, a scenario analysts consider a possible form of retaliation that could provoke further escalation. Iran has openly warned that any U.S. attack would trigger a severe response and treat it as all-out war, indicating readiness to hit American and allied targets across the region. If this U.S. fleet engages, the effects would be immediate and far-reaching. Oil prices could soar, potentially hitting $150 per barrel, disrupting global markets. Shipping lanes would be at risk, and allied nations would face pressure to pick sides. Major powers like Russia and China are watching closely. If the U.S. becomes bogged down here, China might see an opportunity to act on Taiwan, while Russia could gain a significant advantage over Ukraine, while American carriers tied up in the Gulf. The USS Abraham Lincoln isn't just patrolling, it's delivering a clear ultimatum to Tehran: dismantle nuclear program or the US will do it. With the fleet in position, targets locked, and conditions ideal for an air campaign, this week marks one of the most dangerous of 2026. The U.S. aims to deter conflict while staying ready to act, and Iran has signaled its own readiness to respond. The consequences could reshape Middle East security and global geopolitics, showing that military deployments reflect not just hardware, but deep strategic decisions. What happens next could redefine the region.